Hey guys, thank you for watching the Graham Strategy channel. We follow a portfolio of stocks chosen based on the Graham 7 criteria for the defensive stock investor. Like always, I start by reminding you that I'm not a financial advisor and I do not make any recommendations on what you should or should not buy or sell. The investment has been running for a full 3 years now and it's time to rebalance the portfolio for the 6th time. Since the rebalancing on September 8th last year, the performance has been quite disappointing, with no change at all, while the OMX30 index has gained 14.3%. And since October 30th, the OMX30 index has gained almost 20%. The Graham portfolio kept up quite well until December the 19th, but has since dropped 7.2%. Why is this? Well, looking at the companies that make up the OMX30 index, basically the 30 companies with the largest turnover on the Swedish stock exchange. Many of them are large, well-managed companies which have increased their profits during 2023. For the 5 stocks in the Graham portfolio, only one of the companies has reported an increased profit for 2023, namely Betsson, which is also the best performing stock in the portfolio. The last quarterly reports for the OMX30 index, however, indicate lower profits in general, so if the current index hike will go on remains to be seen. The Graham valuation of the stocks currently look like this. No company fulfills all 7 criteria, and only 3 of them fulfill 6 of the 7 criteria. 2 companies have fallen out of the portfolio, Billerud and Holmen. Both companies are in the paper industry and did well after the pandemic, but the profits have since fallen. The 3 companies remaining in the portfolio are Boliden, Skanska and Betsson. The first company that will be added is AAK, which is a Swedish refined vegetable oils producer with sales operations around the world. It has had very good growth both in revenue and profit the past 10 years. Hopefully it will prove a good addition to the portfolio. Surprisingly, the second company that is added is the real estate company JM, which actually returns to the portfolio. When it dropped out 6 months ago, I said that for the long-term investor, I believe JM will be a good investment and maybe it will come back to the portfolio again. And sure enough, it's back. But if we look at the history of this stock in the Graham portfolio, we can see that it was a pretty bad investment. With an initial purchase at more than 300 crowns per share, with some additions along the way, and finally sold last September at a significant loss. Hopefully this time around it will prove beneficial for the portfolio. With coming interest rates drops, perhaps we can see a property market revival. Currently, the portfolio has gained 46.4% since the start, while the OMX30 index during the same period has gained only 21%. However, most of this progress was achieved early on, basically during the first 9 months. Even though there was also a good period from October 2022 until February 2023. So has the method stopped working? I've looked into this and made some observations. For those of you who saw my first video, where I explained how the stocks for the portfolio are chosen and what the return had been based on this selection for a period of 20 years until that time. Let's go back and have a look at that again. Here you see the development of the Graham portfolio and the OMX30 index during the period from 2001 until 2021. Looking at the center graph, the gain of the Graham portfolio outperformed the index by far with a total gain of more than 2,700% as compared to the index with a gain of only 117%. And looking at the graph to the left, where we see the yearly return, the gains don't seem to differ that much, but the compounding effect is dramatic. And what is even more important is the time effect. Of course, over the course of a couple of years, the effect is quite small and the difference between the method is not that obvious. Let's look at only the first 3 years. Let's set all other gains to 0. And it looks like this. The swings in return are dramatic here, as you can see. And the OMX index does much better than the Graham strategy the third year, with a return more than twice that of the Graham portfolio. But the total gain for both the strategy and the index is quite depressing. No gain at all for the OMX 30 index and just 3% gain for the Graham strategy. The same comparison for the current Graham portfolio looks like this. The first 2 years the Graham strategy beat the index, but the last year the index did much better than the strategy. But for the full 3 years the Graham strategy has performed much better, as you see, with a gain is almost twice that of the index. There is, however, one troublesome thing that I have noticed, which is likely to have or already had a negative impact on the strategy. When I started this portfolio, the tool I used for the selection, Börsdata, used this interface, where the companies are listed and one could easily see what Graham criteria the companies fulfilled. As you can see, they are sorted by the ranking, in this case with a highest score of 6. The first 3 companies with this score don't come in alphabetical order. The companies with the same but lower scores also don't appear in alphabetical order. My understanding was that this was a result of a more refined underlying sorting using the Graham criteria. With a new terminal interface, which you can see here, the sorting seems to have changed. To the left, I show the companies with a score of 5 or 6, and to the right, the ones with a score of 4. The first 3 companies with a score of 6 are in alphabetical order. The first 12 companies with a score of 5 are also in alphabetical order. Then they appear slightly more random. The same thing can be observed for the companies with a score of 4. The first 17 companies come in alphabetical order. Then they appear more random. I look back at my screen dumps of this list the past 3 years, and the observation seems to hold true. If this is just a result of a small change in the ordering, which will have only a small effect on the strategy, is unclear at this moment. But I may have to introduce a supplementary way of selecting among the top brand companies that are just sorted alphabetically. So that was all for today. Stay tuned for updates on the portfolio, subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive a reminder when I release a new video. So until next time, as always, stay sharp and follow your passion.